Welcome to our latest deep dive. We sift through stacks of information to bring you the important stuff, the nuggets you need.
That's the goal.
Today, we're unpacking an area that, well, it touches almost everyone, often without us even realizing it. We're looking at the academic research landscape around migrant workers. We've got insights from a recent research paper looking at what scholars have been focusing on for the last, 2 decades, who's leading the research, and what might be next.
Yeah, it's a really comprehensive look.
Okay, let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So our main source here is this big analysis, research from 2000 right up to 2023. And what really jumps out, I think, isn't just that migrant workers are a popular topic,
Right.
but that the growth in research has been accelerating, like really picking up speed since 2013.
Yes, significantly. It's quite stark when you look at the trend line.
And that's not just random, is it? It seems tied into these big global things, urbanization, people moving around more.
Absolutely. Increased mobility, definitely.
Yeah.
And even things like the UN's Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
Goal 8, decent work, economic growth. It all feeds in.
Okay, so the research is ramping up alongside these global trends.
Exactly. But what's really fascinating, maybe even a bit concerning about that acceleration, it suggests there might be this critical gap.
A gap. How so?
Well, like academia is rushing to understand something that maybe policy and society haven't quite caught up with yet. Because, look, we know migrant workers are essential, right? They fill crucial job shortages globally.
Sure, you hear about countries like Australia actively recruiting to fill labor needs.
Precisely. But the research consistently, and I mean consistently, highlights the huge challenges they face.
Like what specifically?
Well, prevents of job market inequality, for starters, often ending up in dangerous jobs, think of construction, agriculture.
Yeah.
And tragically, the data shows higher mortality rates for some groups.
Wow. Okay.
And then there's unequal access to medical care, healthcare services, plus significant mental health issues. Depression is common, often linked to the stress of adapting to a new culture, maybe language barriers, and sometimes, unfortunately, rights violations.
That paints a really stark picture, a workforce under immense pressure.
It really does.
So, given all these complex data, it makes you wonder, who's actually doing this research? Who are the key players shaping how we understand all this?
Good question. The paper shows a really strong focus coming from the social sciences. That's probably not surprising.
Right.
Specifically, areas like public, environmental, and occupational health. So looking directly at the health impacts of their jobs and living conditions.
Makes sense.
And then sociology, looking at the bigger picture, the social structures, and demography, studying the population shifts. Together, those fields account for over a third of all the publications.
So, a big chunk from social and health sciences. What about collaboration? Are people working together across institutions or borders?
Yeah, collaboration is expanding, definitely.
Yeah.
Though maybe not always as intensely as you might expect in some areas. But you do see key academics popping up, like B.J. Hall at NYU seems quite active, especially looking at mental and physical health in Southeast Asia.
Interesting. And institutions?
Well, you see institutions in developed countries like the University of London, Johns Hopkins, really engaged in that health and welfare side of things.
Yeah.
And then you have influential institutions in other regions too, like the Chinese University of Hong Kong, often focusing more on, say, how migrant workers integrate into cities.
So different regional focuses sometimes.
Sort of, yeah. And it's not just universities. Big organizations are getting cited more too, like the WHO, the World Health Organization, and even China's National Bureau of Statistics. It shows their data and reports are becoming increasingly central to the field.
Okay, so that gives us a sense of the current landscape, who's involved. But where's the cutting edge? What's next? Where's the research heading that feels, really new or important?
Right, the future hotspots. The analysis points to a few emerging keywords that are becoming much more prominent. Beyond just general health, you're seeing women, gender, and politics really surge.
Women and gender. Why the specific focus there?
Well, it seems researchers are realizing more and more that female migrant workers face this kind of dual vulnerability. They're vulnerable as migrants, obviously, but also face specific risks and exploitation tied to their gender.
Ah, so it's compounded.
Exactly. Compounded issues that maybe gender-neutral labor laws or analysis don't fully capture. It suggests a need for potentially entirely new policy thinking there. They face distinct challenges, not just crossing borders, but within often male-dominated or, frankly, exploitative work environments.
And politics, what does that signify?
That seems to point towards the growing importance, or at least the growing study, of political organizations. Think trade unions, advocacy groups. How effective are they? What role do they play or could they play in protecting migrant workers' rights and improving conditions? That seems to be gaining relevance.
That really underlines how multi-layered this whole area is. Health, gender, politics, economics. It's all intertwined.
Absolutely.
Which I guess leads to the next question. How do we even begin to tackle these really complex, interconnected problems effectively in the future?
Yeah, and the research itself suggests the way forward is more integration between disciplines, really breaking down those silos.
Like how? Give me an example.
Okay, so maybe combining medicine and sociology much more closely to get a truly holistic understanding of health impacts, not just the physical symptoms, but the social causes and consequences.
Grounds to context.
Exactly. Or bringing together electronic information, that IP, digital economy stuff with sociology to explore how things like AI and the gig economy are changing employment patterns and maybe the well-being of migrant workers. Is it creating new opportunities or new forms of precarity?
That's relevant.
Definitely. And there's also a strong call for more studies focused on social support. For instance, blending pedagogy, the science of teaching, with sociology.
Pedagogy. How does that fit?
Well, to look at things like language adaptation support or family education programs, how can these help with better social integration? Reduce that cultural adaptation stress we talked about earlier. It's about finding practical ways to improve well-being.
So it sounds like the future is really about collaboration and looking at the whole person, the whole experience, not just isolated issues.
I think that's a fair summary, yeah.
Yeah.
More holistic and integrated approaches.
Okay, so wrapping this up. This deep dive really shows a field of research that's not just active, but seriously accelerating. It's grappling with huge issues, from physical and mental health to the impact of new tech, the critical need for social support. It's clearly a massive global challenge that needs constant focus and really innovative thinking.
No doubt about it.
So what does this mean for you listening? I think it's about recognizing the profound and often invisible impact that migrant workers have on all our societies. It's not just about filling labor gaps somewhere else.
Right. It's fundamental.
It's fundamental to global stability, to prosperity, and understanding that their well-being, their challenges, they're directly linked to the future resilience of our interconnected world. It's something we all have a stake in.
Well said. Their challenges are, in many ways, our collective challenges.